Today, AI is changing how fast organizations can move, but speed alone doesn't create value.
What matters is how clearly teams can define the problem, align around outcomes, and make the right decisions before they accelerate.
I'm Clay Richardson, founder and CEO of Digital Fast Forward.
And I'm Steph Lewis, Senior Director of Pega Community and Developer Engagement.
Each episode, we sit down with leaders and practitioners to explore what it really takes to design for value.
And find out how organizations are turning AI-driven speed into meaningful, measurable outcomes.
Welcome to Design to Accelerate.
Conversations on creating value in the age of AI.
Let's go. We know titanic shifts are taking place right now, and it's all because of the earthquake of AI. And if you're old like me, or I prefer to say seasoned, you've seen these shifts before. We've seen these. We've seen Y2K. We've seen the .com. We've seen mobile, social, and now we're facing this AI shift that we all are going through and living it every day. And we've been talking about this just over lunch, having a conversation about the shifts and what teams and leaders need to do to really embrace this new direction. And that was the genesis of this podcast. And so I'm Clay Richardson, Chief Accelerator with Digital Fast Forward, and I'm joined by my co-host, Steph Lewis with Pega.
Yes, my name is Steph Lewis, Senior Director of Developer and Community Engagement at Pega. Clay, this is awesome. As you said, we recognize that people are really struggling with the unknown of AI, right? And it's not just about the technology itself, but what to do with it. What does it change for me as an individual, as a human? What does it change for my role? I think people are scared by it, and they're thinking their job is going away and the way that they used to do work. Well, the way that they do work is changing, and that's what we really want to dive into and explore to help everyone navigate and have these conversations right now.
Yeah, and I think some of this, too, is about reducing, it sounds weird, but reducing anxiety.
Yes.
Right? Because when I talk to leaders, a lot of leaders are trying to figure out, A, what is my world going to look like in the next 3 or 4 years? But then B, how do I get started? How do I go on this journey? And there's a lot of anxiety. You see, what is the Terminator movie, right? People have this vision of, the singularity coming after them. And really, we're seeing this unfold in a pragmatic way. I love the example of Y2K, going back to dating myself. But if you remember during Y2K or that lead up to Y2K, we all expected that at a minimum, it would cause some tsunamis. At a maximum, we could just not exist anymore. Yep. And it came, we celebrated like Prince, 1999, right? And what happened? Nothing. Right? We moved on. And that's a lot of, I don't want to say that's what we expect with this, because it is going to be a big change. It is a big change. We're using this every day. But what we're also seeing is, how do you adopt in a practical way in the role that you're in, right? As a solution designer, as a builder, right? And so I think that's going to be an important conversation that we begin to have.
Yeah. I really want to dive into the solution designer, solution builder, and like what surrounds the adoption of AI to get the value, right? This is what I think people are struggling with, and what we're uncovering is if AI can almost trick us in a different way. It tricks us to, you see something that was created so fast, it looks good, but is it good? It's accelerating putting any assumptions out there that may be incorrect. So if you just take it at face value and you don't do the work to understand the outcomes and based everything on the value, a common shared understanding of the value, you're just going to get something shitty a lot faster.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think about when AI was first introduced, right? A lot of people looked at it as this amazing magic pixie dust.
Yeah.
Right? And pixie dust is great, but when it comes to actually delivering value, a lot of what we want to pull the cover back on is, how do you get beyond the pixie dust effect, right?
Yep.
I remember, and going back, beyond Y2K, I remember the first time that I saw a web browser, right? I was in college. I think this was 94, 95, 94. And I just remember, I went to this computer group, Association for Computing Machinery. I was a computer science nerd. I was absolutely computer science nerd in school, still am. But I just remember seeing this, and they were showing this like Mozilla, which was Netscape, right? And I was just like, what's so great about this? This is like Apple Mac HyperCard. Like, what's the big deal? Like, people are getting all excited. And I just remember seeing over time the commercials. Like, I was fascinated by this. Commercials that would have www dot. And I would be saying to my wife, like, at the time, and this is like maybe 96, but I was just like, that's the web. That's the web. And I'm a part of that, right? And it was just crazy when I look back at how green I was,
right,
but also how quickly it just became a part of how we operate.
Yep.
Right? You can't even imagine that. And that's really what will happen with AI.
It's happening already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where we're looking back, well, how did I operate before that?
Yep.
Right?
And then speaking of your seasonality, so why should people listen to you about this?
I don't know if people should listen to me, honestly. But really, I think a part of it is, first off, just be super candid, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I believe in test and fail. And I've experienced that through my career where I've done 3 startups. My first one failed miserably. And it's really, as I've gone through my career, the failure has always been an opportunity to learn.
Yep.
Right? And so going through, the last 25 years or so, I've gone from, being an entrepreneur, kind of fresh out of college, didn't know what the hell I was doing, to being in the trenches, implementing new technology, multi-year, multi-million dollar, not billion quite then, but multi-million dollar initiatives using new tech, right?
Yeah.
And then had a chance to join Forrester Research as principal analyst, was industry analyst, really served both the practitioner community, helping leaders get their strategies around, this is dating me again, business process management. I actually hate that term. I work to eliminate that term in the industry. It's just one of the worst words or terms. But at Forrester, I love the gig because I got to work with both practitioners, but also work with really tech leaders. So CEO, executives at Pega, other technology companies, and help them define their strategy. But what I also realized is in that time, I realized that I love implementing shit. Just full stop.
Yep.
Like I can't be ivory tower.
Yep.
And what killed me the most was, this is what really got me out of Forrester, was going in, helping clients define their strategies around these multi-million-dollar investments.
Yep.
But then not getting a chance to see, did they actually get the value that we defined up front? Right? And then learning later, like it took 5 years to get to what they wanted. Right? And so I was just like, I can't sit in the ivory tower anymore.
Right.
Got out of that, started Digital Fast Forward. And really at Digital Fast Forward, a lot of what we do is strategy to outcome and value. And so that's what we love doing, working with leaders. And this specific space that we're in right now is just so amazing, and not just from a company perspective, right? But from a human perspective, right? Is being able to help leaders get the value,
right?
Because ultimately, this is the part that gets me the most excited now. Is step away from the technology for a second, like put the technology down. Ultimately, it's about humans excelling, learning, and getting to the next level. Technology is just a platform that helps the human, right? And so that's where we get so excited. Like, one of our goals is to help over 1 million leaders realize the next level, right? Helping them perform at the next level and get their due. It sounds, for a technology company, that sounds like a weird incentive. So,
But I think the humans are going to be even more of the differentiators now with everybody having access to AI. I mean, AI doesn't have creativity behind the scenes. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros. So you have a bigger opportunity to bring yourself to the table and your creativity in the way that you use it, and that's going to be your differentiator.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I know, as we were preparing for this conversation, one of the things I was curious about is with first your story, but also understanding what are you looking to do that in this podcast that will inspire others. So I want to hear your story, but also how do you see what we're doing inspiring others?
The thing that's most exciting to me right now, based on, I'll talk about my history in a little bit, is with a combination of AI, with these AI-powered tools, like what we used to call like low-code tools, which Pega has been around for a long time, is it really enables more people, gives more people access to this technology. Again, you definitely need to learn and understand it so it doesn't hallucinate. Like we all heard the horror stories, but I think it really democratizes that. And I'm obviously head of community, and I've been in this space for a while, so I'm really passionate about the people, and I see this really opening up doors for them. So my background is I actually started as a nursing major and then realized that I don't like blood and I didn't want to work weekends. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I really didn't know because I grew up in a very small town where you were either a teacher or you were a doctor. So the doctor was obviously off the table, and my parents were teachers, so I was determined not to be a teacher because that's what everybody expected me to do. So I went into math and computer science, but I am not someone that can sit at a desk all day. So I started in the developer world and then quickly moved into kind of the product management side. And I've done everything from, writing code, doing merging, was integration manager. Then I managed a QA, and then I managed a dev team. And then I was responsible for rolling out Agile to a 500 developer organization. So I've been in the process side for a long time. And then I joined Pega 15 years ago, and I've done everything from product to the community. So I've kind of been around the block and seen kind of all aspects of software, because again, it's not just about the technology. It's so cool what this can do, but all of the pieces that surround it to get the value and the people involved is what I'm really, really passionate about and have been observing for longer than I'd like to admit. I'm not as seasoned as you, but I still am pretty seasoned.
It's funny. My mom uses that term "seasoned" with my daughter, where she's like, "I'm not old, I'm seasoned."
Yep.
And my daughter's like, "Dad, does that mean old?" It's like, yeah,
you're smart.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's interesting as we're kind of looking at this, right? Is I think about when we first met, right? I go back and for the audience. Steph and I, we know each other going back, so we're not new to each other, right? And it was back, I think I want to say, was it 2013, 2011?
Somewhere around, 2011 maybe.
And I remember it was a Pega World we met at, right? I think it was Pega World was the first. And I just remember Pega's hired a cool person that's focused on mobile.
Yep.
Right. And I was just like, oh, this company is cool. And interesting, because I worked with Pega before you started, I've been working with Pega, and I was like, it's a bunch of guys. They kind of can feel kind of stodgy sometimes, even though once you get to have a conversation with everybody, it's very chill. But it was really interesting to me to see you come into Pega, the energy that you brought, but also just getting people to think differently about, at the time, mobile.
Yep.
But even your journey within Pega. I mean, I'm curious to hear a little bit more about what do you do day to day here?
Yep. So today it's about community. So a little bit of the journey, as I said, you met me when I started the mobile product. So I spent a long time in the product organization, building our first mobile product and then launching it, which was really cool. And then I was just adding a bunch of features and functions. So I got bored. And I was like, what's the next thing for me to kind of tackle? Where are we struggling for Pega? And it was really on the enablement side. Yeah. We had a very, very old Pega Academy. The content really sucked. So people weren't enabled. They couldn't do the job when they got out of it. And the experience just was so poor and really clunky. So ripped that out and just build it all up from scratch. So I did that. And at the time, community was part of it, but community was just focused on the partner ecosystem. It wasn't focused on you as an individual and us being champions for you in your career.
Yep.
It was more about like, how many certified people do we have in the ecosystem, right? It was so old school. And that's really the shift now. So we relaunched community as the Groundbreaker community. We're going to get some really cool members-only jackets for like the high contributors because we were founded in the 80s, so we got to bring back the 80s. But really, it's about shifting and how can I amplify you and help you tell your story? Right. How can I want you to be out there talking about why Pega helped your career, not just like it's the most amazing technology ever, which it is, by the way, but it's more about like how can we help you bank your career on this technology? And then this goes back to the podcast. It's the learning. How are you going to embrace AI? How can we help you do that? And then work with your stakeholders. So that's kind of the day-to-day. So combining this new idea of the solution designer, which is the democratization, increasing the number of people that can use our tools and AI. And then also, because that's going to be part of the big community, because the best thing is to hear from each other. Right. Yeah. So because you're in the weeds, you are doing it. So those are the people you want to hear from. Yeah, not just us. I mean, we're amazing, but.
Well, and I will share a little bit with the audience, from a behind the scenes perspective, a lot of our initial conversation started from this big shift that Pega's making to solution design and solution designers, right? And so I'd love to hear a little bit of a conversation about that because we're going to be interviewing guests around the solution design, how AI is driving that. But I'd love to hear a little bit of a preview for the audience of the thinking around the shift to solution design.
Yep, that's a great point. So we've had the same roles since I started, so probably since the company started. So we've got business architects, system architects, senior system, and lead, right? And we've tweaked them, obviously, as technology's changed, as the tool has changed, but they haven't gone through a revolution. And Blueprint completely allows for the change that Alan's going to talk about that he envisioned from the beginning with a business architect, not business analyst. This makes it a reality. So we now have the opportunity to simplify what it takes for delivery, all the way from the ideation through the production. Blueprint is what completely changed it and gave us the opportunity. So it just started as conversations like, what does it look like to simplify these roles so you don't have to be like, you have to have 5 certified people to actually do anything with Pega.
Right.
And then we just started to run with it. So we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to focus first on solution design in this season. And then we're going to shift to actually talk about solution designer and what does that mean for you as an individual? What skill sets do you need to take? So we're going to walk through that journey. But we started at the beginning of kind of going through the design thinking process around solution design and designer and what does that actually look like?
Yeah, it's interesting too. And what got me excited about really us joining forces here, kind of like the Wonder Twins, I would say, right?
We look
like
so much alike.
Twins. Yeah, that's the Wonder Twins. That was the whole idea. Wonder Twins look nothing right. So what got me excited is I am I don't know the right word, but I absolutely love focusing on value. Like I am extreme about value acceleration, value creation. And us coming together is really making the statement that value creation in the future will be driven primarily by the solution design.
Yes.
And I think we have to be clear as we're going through and doing interviews and creating the podcast that these are the 2 pillars of the conversation that we're having is value creation and solution designers. AI is there, right? But we're trying to be mindful not to just say, AI. It's really that role that's leveraging AI that gives them the superpower.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep. And I think that's a really good point of like if you think about us as 2 strong forces, you've got the value and the solution designer, but the solution designer is the one that's going to be driving value throughout from ideation all the way through, the thread all the way through production, which is what you were missing when you were at Forrester, seeing it all the way through.
Right. Yep. I just saw the end result in the beginning, but not the actual value. And, leaving Forrester, it's funny. My wife and I were talking about this. Like, digital fast forward, we've been around, it'll be 10 years next year,
wow.
which is crazy time.
That's crazy.
That's when I feel seasoned. I'm like, I've been doing this for 10 years. This is crazy. But my wife, we were talking about it, and I was telling her, like, I actually hate implementation. I hate delivery, right? And you know, our company, we do some delivery. Most of our work is advisory, but we have to keep our hands dirty, right?
Yep.
But my wife, she was saying, it sounds to me like you just finished a 10-year research project, right? Because being in the trenches, seeing the reality, actually working with leaders on their transformation has really changed how I even think about transformation and what the real challenges are. And a lot of it, you know, we won't talk about this in this season, but we'll get into it next season. A lot of it is around, you know, high performance and high performers and the mindset, the culture. But it's those things, you know, and I remember a client we just recently worked with where we came in, assessed what they were doing with Pega, how they were going. And, you know, at one point in this readout that I was giving them, and this is just me, classic analyst style, like, well, you know, this. And I think they were like, we've heard this before.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling us nothing new. And I finally just said, look, I don't care if you guys fire me, but I'm going to give you the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the problem ain't the software. It's you.
Yeah.
It's actually you guys are the issue. You are the blocker. And I think the VP of operations looked at me and said, nobody's ever told us that.
Yeah. Right.
He said, the fact that you're actually willing to have us fire you.
Yeah, you're hired.
Right? You're hired, right? It was kind of a weird thing. And it was an epiphany for me where a lot of these conversations we have, it's actually both, you know, me getting out of my head, right? And really getting into the head of leaders, of solution designers. What are they struggling with?
Right.
And asking the question that way, right? And so as we talk to guests, you know Pega, right? Pega's going to come in, some of the people we talk to, even some of the clients, they're going to have talking points. Hey, you know, I was told to say this. And our job is really to, let's peel that back, right? And bring people in the room. How does this get done? What's the reality of it? And so that's what gets me excited is just having real conversation.
Well, that's perfect because that's what we're about to do in these next few episodes. So speaking of that, I think we should just dive right in.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay. All right. See you all next episode.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for listening to Design to Accelerate.
This is a space for thoughtful conversations about how people, not just technology, create value.
When we let human judgment lead and AI accelerate, better outcomes always follow.
Follow and subscribe to keep engaging in this meaningful conversation.